I got the kit on eBay, and it includes everything that you need: floor panels, seat, and hardware. My wagon is black with leather seats. I could only find a kit with tan carpet and tan cushions. The seller creates these kits often, and he's never seen a leather third seat. But he said if you dye the carpet black, it'll closely match the original color. And I chose not to dye the seats because I didn't know if the dye would bleed with use with sweaty passengers, etc. Tools you'll need: 8mm, 14mm ratchet wrench with sockets, a T25 star bit, Phillips bits. I used a coping saw and 9/16 64th drill bit and several other bits. This is a finished look. I was pleased with the black carpet dye. You'll see that there's some tan seat hinges and tan handles that you could probably use black plastic spray on, but I didn't do that. Here's the finished look, showing the panels provided and the seat folded up. You can see under the seat the wheel well, which I put tools and various items in, and I also elected to use the original black tool tray below the floor panels. You notice I had to cut down the back tray wall quite a bit so that it would fit around the new hinges on the bottom seat. I did not use the carpet cover that came with the kit. I suppose you could use it and the black tool tray if you just cut the carpet pad horizontally across the middle. You could shove the wheel well cover underneath the seat and not see the tools and things that I've stored in the wheel well. I removed the two floor panels from the wagon. You won't need those again. And I put the back seat in place and bolted it down loosely just to see the alignment of where everything's going to go. First, you'll probably want to mount the middle bracket for the seatbelt receptacles. Push it under that seat that you temporarily mounted, and it bolts down in the back. You'll have to cut the thermal or sound barrier matting to get to the metal floor and mount 2 bolts in, metal to metal, and you're finished with that. This is an illustration of the grommets that you may or may not want to use. They're $4 each at Volvo. These were already there in the brackets in order to mount that back wide floor panel between the two seats, the second row seats and this new third row seat. This is the seat belt installed just to show you how it mounts. The retractable spring roller is here, mounts above the wheel well. The ceiling bracket mounts above the window. You have to remove some window trim, and then the floor bracket mounts to that back seat vertical bracket. To remove the wheel well cover, there's one screw here. Remove that, slide the cover back and forth, and it should pull right out. To remove the top trim above the window, there's one screw right here. Remove that screw, slide this trim panel back and forth, and it should pull right out. Lay out the seatbelt assembly so you can properly put the brackets on. Here's the retractable seatbelt assembly. Put this black angle bracket on behind the assembly, and it will mount directly to the wheel well wall. Ceiling bracket takes 1 bolt. and the floor bracket takes 1 bolt. With this bracket behind the spring retraction, mount it to the wheel well with 1 bolt. Here it shows the retraction unit mounted to the wheel well with the roller holding the seatbelt going up to the ceiling. This roller will be right below the wheel well trim when you put it back on. Pull out enough of the seatbelt to extend the top bracket to the top of the window. Bolt it in with 1 bolt using this hole and 2 teeth that'll go through the hole to mount and align the bracket. The top piece of trim needs to be cut out for the seatbelt. You'll see this Sharpie outline here, but it's also outlined in the molded plastic similar to this right here. Then extend the seatbelt floor bracket down to the seat bracket and mount it here with 1 bolt. Make sure the belt is not twisted. This tan bracket came with the seatbelt assembly but was broken. I'm not going to use them, but they would be mounted to the wheel well cover similar to this position, which is also the molding has the outline on the back. I lined it up with the outline, and I'm going to cut just a slot where the seatbelt will go. This outline right here needs to be removed, and I cut the slot all the way over to this edge, which you'll see in the next slide. Seatbelt comes up from the wheel well through this slot, and I used a self-tapping screw and a washer to hold this edge down, and I'll paint that screw black. Next, you need to remove these brackets, which were the hinge clamps for the floor panel, the old existing floor panel. You need to remove those in order to take this black tray off. So remove all the screws from the black tray and remove the 2 trays from both sides. Then you need to mount this bracket that came with the kit on both sides. This is what you're going to bolt the bottom seat down to. The other side has to slip under this raceway for wiring. And then you need to drill out the hole for the peg and the hole that the bolt is going to go down into the bracket, which is under here. The bracket you just mounted for the back seat bottom is right here on both sides. Here is the black plastic tray below the floorboards. I just drilled a hole right here in the middle of this small hole for the pegs on this side panel with the triangle on it to go into. If you use the grommets, you would drill out both of these holes, the larger hole and this hole, buy the grommets from Volvo and slide them in so that the panels would pop into those grommets. But as you see, I just lined up my small hole and drilled a 19/64 hole right here and one at the bottom here, and then carefully mounted this triangle floor spacer on both sides. Hope this was helpful. This took me about 2 days to finish because I had to ponder a lot, especially on those seat belts. So hopefully this helps and you can get it done in 1 day. Good luck.